Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Pork Burp. Yay. Posted March 21st, 2015 to r/relationships. Me, 29 female, and my landlords, late 30s, male and female, child, 9 female. Child screams to purposefully wake up the tenants. What do? I live in a large 3-story house with my landlords and 2 other tenants. My landlords are a married couple in their late 30s with 2 daughters aged 5 and 9, and they have the basement and 1st floor. I and another single tenant live on the 2nd floor, and there's another couple on the 3rd floor. It's a really nice living situation. The rent for the neighborhood cannot be beat, and our landlords are great. Except for this one thing. So before we moved in, the landlords mentioned to us that sometimes the girls get loud, particularly the older one. But you probably won't even hear it unless you're by your door. Given their ages, we figured this meant noise from playing and the occasional tantrum. On questioning the other tenants, they said it's mostly the 9-year-old having tantrums, but it's infrequent. We've been living here for 3 months now, and the 9-year-old has a screaming tantrum at least twice per week. She screams with the intent to wake up the house, because she knows it makes her parents embarrassed. I've only ever heard them say things like, "Stop yelling, you'll wake everyone up!" and never heard them talk about punishment, although to be fair, I couldn't hear everything over the screaming. I've tried casually to bring it up with them, e.g. saying something like, "Wow, that kid can scream," with a chuckle, to which they would say, "Oh my god, we're so sorry, she's so bad today, we don't know what to do." Personally, I would love to go down there during a screaming episode and have words with a child, but I feel like that would be crossing a huge red line. I gather that as parents, they want to be the only ones making decisions about their children, and don't welcome outside input. So, I don't want to say something like, "You should ground her," or whatever. Also being mindful of the fact that they are my landlords. I don't want to have too much tension in the household. I really like the place otherwise. So I might be asking the impossible, but what's a good way to bring this up with my landlords when I feel like they might not be open to the advice/criticism? Even though it's neither of those things, I think they would perceive it that way. Too long didn't read. At least twice a week, my landlord's 9-year-old daughter will get upset with her parents, and to get back at them, she starts screaming in order to wake up the tenants. Parents don't discipline the child when she does this, so she keeps on doing it, and it's annoying. How to discuss this with the landlords? Edit. Wow, this is my most popular post ever. Thanks so much, everyone, for providing your opinions and advice. I wasn't sure how to sit down with my landlords and get this out in the open positively, and there's a number of good angles mentioned here that I will be using. I know this is wrong to do, but if I was in this position, it would cross my mind, and potentially the intrusive thoughts might win, to go in front of the 9-year-old's door and just scream myself and wake her up at 3 a.m. and just do it every day. I know that's not okay and just fundamentally unacceptable, but at some point my intrusive thoughts will win out of frustration. Top comments. Some people are telling you that this is a parenting issue and therefore none of your business. They are wrong. This is not a parenting issue. It is an issue with your landlords and the quality of your living situation. Yes, they warned you. Yes, they are probably disciplining the child. So fucking what? It needs to stop. You need to address this the way you would any other issue with the property. Don't give them parenting advice, don't be negative or rude about their child, but be direct. Something like, "If you have a minute, I would like to discuss the noise level in regards to 9 female. It's getting to the point that my frustrations with the situation have me wondering if perhaps this is not the right living situation for me. I appreciate that you warned me when I initially moved in, however, this wasn't quite what I was expecting. I'm sure you're doing the best you can, and I have no doubt that you're already aware that this is an issue, but I wanted to be upfront with how bothersome this is for me," or something along those lines. Dancing around the issue or chuckling when you mention it isn't going to solve anything. Use your dinosaur train, comments. The solution isn't to be direct or uncommunicative. Go talk to them. If they can't stop it, then it's time to talk about how to soundproof your quarters. They probably need to stop giving her attention when she screams. It needs to be a non-event. She likes the attention, and if she's given none, then she'll stop this nonsense. Update: May 13th, 2015, nearly 2 months later. This is an update to my original post about my landlord's kid screaming at the top of her lungs at 6 a.m. and waking up the entire building. I borrowed the advice of making the conversation not about myself or them, but instead discussing the possibility of soundproofing. I also decided to do it right around 6 a.m. when it was starting, so I could sort of catch it in the act. I went down to my landlord's floor and simply said, "Hey guys, just FYI, I can hear that in my apartment, as though it's happening right outside my door. I guess the walls are thin, and the door is right here by the stairs. You may want to consider some kind of soundproofing for the benefit of future tenants. My lease runs out in a month, and I'm not renewing, so didn't bother to ask for it for myself." I was surprised when my landlord said they had no idea I could hear it. Apparently, the other building residents, both of whom have lived in my unit, didn't hear it, or did, but didn't say anything about it. My landlords were also very apologetic and said they were really sorry. The next thing that happened was awesome. The 9-year-old was in the room, sitting, facing away, and now totally silent. The mother said, "See, your behavior has consequences, and you've disturbed our neighbors. I think you need to turn around and apologize to Pork Burp," God, gross, for waking her up. She did not turn around. I wasn't really expecting it. She's shy around the tenants, and her body language really seemed to communicate that she was embarrassed/ashamed. When I came home from work, I had a handwritten letter from the girl where she apologized for disturbing everyone, and will try harder next time not to behave like that. I believe every tenant got one of these. I kind of wish her parents had made her apologize to me on the spot, but I'm okay with the letter. This happened a couple weeks ago, and so far, there's been no further 6 a.m. tantrums, at least that I can hear anyway. So I think confronting the family was a success. Thanks to Reddit for your advice in the original thread. I also really enjoyed some of the shitposts people feel compelled to leave. They make me laugh. Too Long Didn't Read confronted my landlord's family mid-tantrum and kindly asked for soundproofing. They made the child apologize, and we haven't heard any problems since. Thanks, Reddit. And it got a few more things to say in response to these great comments. Thanks for the Reddit gold, stranger. Some people have pointed out that a 9-year-old apologizing through a letter as opposed to on the spot isn't as bad considering she's 9. In fact, it might be an even bigger punishment because she would have to sit and really think about each letter. That's something I didn't consider, and when it's framed that way, I agree that that's sufficient. Some people also think my original post was about asking whether or not to discuss the issue with my landlord, but it was actually about how to bring it up in the most non-offensive way possible. As some people here have mentioned, some parents can be really sensitive to anything that seems like criticism. I wanted to minimize the possibility of them turning around and trying to make this about me versus them, since that's not what it since that's not what it was at all. I'm laughing because now I'm imagining how poorly my original approach would go over, and I know that is a horrible idea, just to go to the 9-year-old's door and scream, but now there's just my brain has been churning on it and processing how the outcome would actually go. And there's just a lot of confusion, grievances, anger, and what the fuck are you doing? Why are you screaming outside of our daughter's door? just going up at 5 a.m. and just bah! Bah! How do you like it, huh? Oh, God. That is very firmly placed within the things you should never do category. Especially with how remorseful and sorry and embarrassed that child was. Just, oh my God. This post was collected by Big O Nerd. The original OP is Throwaway 7192022. Posted March 15th, 2026. Friend's boyfriend is stalking me, and I don't know how to talk to her about it. Hi everyone, I've been a lurker for some time now. I thought I'd come here first. I remember a similar post pop up and really need advice on what to do. I have been in a few activities with Rory, 20 female, over the past school year, and we grew close, though we were friendly before, but didn't know a lot about each other. I found out she had a boyfriend of a year that happened to be from the same high school I went to. Not super odd since a few of my schoolmates from before are also now in my college. And I chalked it up to one of those, what a small world kind of things. Rory and I got even closer this past semester since we're both in the student government and the student paper. We hang out a lot outside of activities, and I include her in some of the hangouts of my closer friend group. In one of the hangouts, we met her boyfriend Logan, 20 male. Ever since that hangout, I keep meeting Logan in places where I would normally be and places where I plan to be. Again, I would normally chalk this up to being a coincidence, but the city where my college is in is huge. I don't even see some of my closest friends on a random day if not for it being planned. It happens on my cafe spot where I study or places I mention to my friends I'll be doing errands in. It's started to feel scary how often I see him that I get scared going outside and meeting him. He's nice when we meet, but I get a sick feeling whenever we talk, and I feel like I'm being scrutinized or watched. I don't know how it keeps happening, and I haven't really told anyone because it sounds weird in my own head. What more to others? I want to speak to Rory about it because maybe she has an idea why he's essentially stalking me, but I don't really know how to move from here or to articulate what I want to say. I don't even know if I should talk to Rory at all because I don't want to come across as a homewrecker or anything or blow up our really nice friendship. Any advice, please, would be really helpful. Double frown, frowny face. Comments. Kuka63 comments. Check your bags and other items for trackers. Do you post a ton on social media telling people what you're up to? Change the routes you take. Please remember, you do not have to interact with him just because he's your friend's boyfriend. There's no reason for you to spend any time with him whatsoever. Hope he responds. Thank you. I'll leave if I ever spot him again. I'm pretty low-key on social media and my Instagram has been private since I made a few years ago. I haven't even thought of checking for a tracker. Use your OK Mathematician 262 comments. Does he approach you when you see him in these locations? And if so, does he try to keep communicating with you or just says hi and goes on his way? I would definitely try to ignore him or just say hi and go whenever that happens. Also, are you sharing your location with Rory or anyone else that might be his mutual friend? I would personally turn off location sharing except a few most trusted people. I would also block him on SMS. Hope he responds. I'll block him ASAP. I don't really share location, but I do tend to talk about places I would be, like the library, this grocery store, etc., because I happen to talk to my friends about it. The first 2 times I approached him thinking Rory was with him, but after that, I got the sense that he would be alone if I ever spot him. Since then, he was the one approaching me or bumping into me. We used to talk about stuff we have in common, mostly Rory, but as of recent, I try to finish the conversation ASAP and leave. User Regular Leopard 5384 comments, Girl, trust your gut. That sick feeling, that's your intuition trying to protect you. You're not being dramatic. This is genuinely unsettling behavior. The fact that he keeps showing up in places you've only mentioned to friends, and in a huge city no less, is a huge red flag. Please talk to Rory, but be gentle with yourself when you do. You're not accusing, you're sharing facts and how it's making you feel. A real friend will listen. And honestly, you deserve to feel safe in your everyday spaces. Sending you strength. Heart emoji. OP responds, thank you, I really appreciate it. I'm still thinking of how to approach Rory because I've known her less than her boyfriend and I really don't want to blow everything up. I hope I can drop some hints or figure out a way to see if she knows about his behavior. Update. 5 days later, March 20th, 2026. Hi everyone, I wanted to thank the people who gave really sound advice last week on my honestly rambly post/vent rant, and to those who reached out to check in the days after to see if I was alright. I wasn't expecting such a warm and welcoming reception, and that really helped me push through this week. Double smiley face. Before the actual update, here are some stuff I wanted to assure you all of. I had my car checked by 3 shops and was doubly assured that there wasn't any trackers. We even asked a friend of mine who had a sketchy ex in the past to use their bug sweeper on everything, and all, my car, my things, my apartment, my clothes, etc., came out clean. Someone asked what we normally discuss when we meet, and I can't say it's anything of note. He normally approaches me and asks me how I'm doing, and what was I doing at the place, and sometimes about what Rory did the day. Sometimes it was what I liked or some questions friends would ask when they get to know each other, which I wouldn't mind answering if it weren't for the fact that he was showing up in a lot of places I frequent. and I was suspecting him of stalking me. Here's the update. I followed the advice of some commenters suggested, which was to change my routine. I felt it wasn't enough to randomize it just to avoid him, so I decided to do that police tactic thing where certain specific info was given to suspects to see who was the snitch, since I honestly didn't know how he could have stalked me on some places. Some were out of the city, some were pretty hidden spots, etc. I told Rory, my new friend and his girlfriend, that I would be in this cafe near school on Wednesday after we had a meeting. I have cleared my suspicion for most of my friends at this point, so it was Rory and another that I wanted to test. I stayed with a friend across the road in a bodega and saw Logan, I guess that's his name, come inside the cafe where I said I was after an hour I said I would be there. I didn't have the best mood after confirming that Logan was using Rory to stalk me. So I didn't go out of my house all of Thursday because I was stressed out of my mind and didn't know how to move forward with that discovery. Fortunately, today, I confronted Rory about it after I mustered up all the courage and tried to see if she was unknowingly help him, and she was just relaying info without malice. We met after I texted her that I wanted to talk about the agenda from the Wednesday meeting in a mutual friend's dorm room, who was also present as they were part of the student government as well, plus was aware of what's happening with my suspicions. And she came. An hour in of me fiddling and trying to find the right moment to start my hinting, I followed one of the comments of my last post and kind of stated that I kept seeing Logan in all the places I've been frequenting for the past month. It started out really well, but when I pressed that it was odd that I kept seeing him almost every week, she got this really odd look on her face and asked me if I was trying to accuse her boyfriend of being gay, which took me off guard. Yeah, I am gay, not to be confused, but it was weird how she went to that direction. I backtracked and said that I wasn't accusing him of anything, but that I kept seeing him, and I brought up the fact that I told her I would be in a cafe on Wednesday, and he came after, which I then asked if he asked about my whereabouts. I think things got really out of hand after that, and she then said that he did ask, but it was more of a concerned boyfriend checking on their girlfriend hanging out with a guy kind of way, instead of the stalkerish kind of way. I got really confused here and tried to say that it gave off stalkerish vibes on my perspective, and she got really mad that I was, in her mind, accusing her boyfriend of being interested in me and was gay for the second time. Our mutual friend broke us off because things were getting loud and incoherent, with no belief that we would make sensible conversation, and Rory left the dorm after that. I did speak to my friend if I was taking it the wrong way, and she assured me that irregardless of my gender and orientation, men had stalkers too, and that she supported me if Rory tried to accuse me of anything. I asked my close friends the same thing, and assured me that I was very public with my gayness, so it would be weird for Logan to assume I would be a threat to their relationship. I'm currently in my apartment, and I'm starting to wonder if I was taking it the wrong way. Would a guy keep tabs on a dude his girlfriend was friends with? I'm once again at my wit's end, but I'm trying not to spiral because all the important people, friends, family, etc., support me. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I would be really appreciative for any advice. Thanks. Edit, March 22nd, 2026. Thank you all for the advice and the comforting words. It truly means a lot to me. Unfortunately, despite what many of the commenters suggested, I am unable to fully break off my tie with Rory and subsequently her boyfriend, as the semester ends in mid-April for me and we have a ton of year-end stuff to go through in the student government and the university paper. Fortunately, I do have other friends in those two orgs, so I will be very much applying for their help until the semester ends, so I can be with someone at all in case worse comes to reality. Once again, thank you all so much. Comments. Strange Chain 6551. Your suspicions were spot on, and the fact that Logan showed up at the cafe after you told only Rory proves he's been using her to track you down. The whole concerned boyfriend excuse is bullshit. Normal guys don't systematically show up everywhere their girlfriend's friends hang out, especially when those friends are clearly not romantic competition. Rory jumping straight to the gay accusation is her deflecting because deep down, she probably knows his behavior is weird, but doesn't want to admit her boyfriend is a creep. You did exactly the right thing with that test. That's some solid detective work right there. The mutual friend backing you up shows other people can see how sketchy this whole situation is too. Trust your gut on this one, because Logan's pattern of behavior screams stalker, not protective boyfriend. And Rory's defensive reaction just confirms she's been feeding him information, whether she wants to admit it or not. Opie responds, "Thank you. This was such a tough thing to go through all week, and I was starting to think I was jumping the gun. I'm not sure if this will conclusively stop the stalking, but I'm continuing randomizing and shutting up about my whereabouts until I'm sure." User Historical Agent 9426 comments, "There is the possibility Logan is a homophobe and has been stalking you with the intent to physically harm you. I would actually suggest this concern to Rory if she again accuses you of suggesting Logan is gay. And if he keeps it up, I would start to wonder if she's a homophobe and has been egging Logan on to prove to her he isn't gay." Opie responds, "I don't want to spiral, but I have to admit this has crossed my mind since we fought earlier today. I doubt Rory is like that since she has been a staunch ally since I am openly gay, but it doesn't hurt to doubt her. I guess I'm reeling a little that this might be a possibility." User NoLifeguard9194 comments, "That's not the behavior of somebody who's keeping tabs on his girlfriend, which would be probably about a GAN of itself. Rather, he's going out of his way to meet up with you." Opie responds, "I said this, but for some reason Rory was hung up on me accusing her boyfriend when I genuinely am fearing for my safety, and she kept denying a man could stalk a man. There's something going on with them, and I don't know when I can even hear her side when she's pissed and probably told Logan what I said." User Brave Refrigerator 552 comments, "I want to say maybe Logan is curious, but there are much easier ways to go DL. Could he be jealous of your relationship with Rory, like trying to find out what's so neat about you? I mean, I have no idea." Opie responds, "I don't go out of my way to hang out with Rory, and we mostly hang out for student government or the paper. We're often surrounded by mutual friends and very rarely one-on-one alone with each other. I do think that he may be DL, and I'm hoping my friend and I can find evidence that he is or something." DL is in down low, or potentially closeted. Final update, May 10th, 2026. Hello, everyone. I don't want to make a long update because I don't really want to revisit what happened over the month. So I will condense it as much as I can, and if anyone has questions, I will do my best to answer. Long story short, Logan has been taken to the local police station, and I have successfully filed a restraining order on both of them, Logan and Rory. After the confrontation, Rory began bringing Logan everywhere, which did not help their case, as rumors spread of what happened with us. Dorm room walls are not soundproof, and Logan would just stare at me whenever Rory was looking away or busy doing something else. Not long after, a lot of our mutual friends dropped Rory, as Logan would join their hangouts and would unprompted go on a rant about how bad of a person I was, making up lies about me, and go on crazed, angry speeches on femboids, ruining the image of men in the current age. This kept going for 2 to 3-ish weeks during the final/project phase of school, but kind of died down as I finished off everything and prepared to graduate. Where it went wrong, I had invited my close friends and some others to a nice night out as graduation was close by, and everyone invited had an award to be celebrated. Not sure who leaked it, but Rory and Logan got a hold that I was having dinner at this restaurant and had these private rooms for parties and showed up. I clearly did not invite them to the celebration, and I had asked my male friends to get them out, but Rory seemed insistent to stay, and Logan remained quiet the whole back and forth. The argument got heated that some waiters came to de-escalate, but it seemed like he had enough and shoved Rory out of the way and the friend who was arguing with her. I don't know what made him snap, but he had reached me and managed to push me to the ground. I hit the chair and table on the way down and was delirious from the pain that ached everywhere. I completely did not register that Logan seemed intent to get on top of me. Probably to punch me or something, maybe even attempt at my life in some way. Fortunately, my friends grabbed him and tried to hold him down, but he kept trying to break free from their grasp. By the time I managed to get to my senses, some of the security staff had come, and Rory seemed shocked by the entire event that just occurred. They got taken out. A friend had suggested I get the CCTV of what happened and use it to get a restraining order, which I did the day after. Some days later, the police got back to me and asked to do an interview of some sort. I discussed what happened over the past few months, and the lady who I spoke to took me very seriously, and had told me they would try to get a warrant for their devices. As I mentioned, they managed to track me down in some way, and I feared that would continue. Fortunately, I have evidence of a crime committed and probable cause of stalking, so this was done. I thank the lady and her team for being so incredibly amazing with my case. Another few days rolled by, and I went down to the station. I went with my younger brother as my family arrived in town for my graduation a few days later. In the station, they had informed me that on both Logan's and Rory's devices, tons of images and videos of me were found. Not only that, text messages show that they had planned to attempt at finding my apartment and do something. Due to the evidence, I will be pressing charges. On the bright side of things, I graduated with Latin honors and got a lot of medals for the activities I've done in college. I'm happy to say that I am currently back at home and will be isolating myself for a good month before even thinking of venturing out again. That's all from me. Smiley face. Comments. Carter Cage. Wow. In the end, you got lucky with that attack. I hope you're doing okay. Opie responds, Yep, the police lady said it would have taken me much longer and harder for an RO, and probably wouldn't get their devices searched. Blessing in disguise, I guess. User Proteus61 comments, Did you ever find out why this nutcase was stalking you? Not that stalkers are rational, I'm just wondering what the fuck motivated them. Opie responds, Nope, still don't know why exactly. We suspect he's one of those red pillars / incels, since his rants bear a lot of similarity to them. We also tried finding out if he was a DL with no such luck. My friends suspected that since he went to my school, the same time as me in high school, I might have been his gay awakening and he didn't really like that. All theories though. User Shafiba comments, Congratulations on all your accomplishments. I'm so sorry they did this to you, but so happy they were dumb enough to do it in public, on camera. Opie responds, Thank you. Total stroke of genius for my friend to suggest it, and can't even begin to thank the restaurant who gave me the footage so easily. Genuinely saves my life. User Jose Shung comments, Glad you were able to get a restraining order and that you graduated. In your first post by the situation, you said that Logan had also attended your high school. Are you certain that you have not been on his radar for much longer than his meeting you via Rory? I mention this not to make you afraid, but because this would shed some light on his mental state. I'm sorry that you went through this, and I hope this chapter is concluded. Opie responds, Thank you, smiley face. Personally, I have tried to dig around among classmates to know about Logan, but he didn't make that many friends to know how he was in high school. One thing we suspect due to how oddly violent and focused he was on me was that I may have been his gay awakening or crush or fixation in high school, and it slowly began to spiral without me knowing. User Dat Guy Malcolm comments, Damn, this was almost some true crime shit. Were they planning to find you alone in something? Goodness, glad you're okay. Hope they rot. Opie responds, From what I saw in the text messages, they intended to confront me about the rumors I was spreading, which were spread because of the argument I had with Rory at my friend's dorm, and a few friends sharing it with their classmates. It didn't say anything explicit, but the tone and language used that they intended to scare the shit out of me. So I did do some kind of research and digging because I felt Opie's timeline did move pretty quickly, but in some states it is very much possible to get a restraining order within 48 hours of filing it, depending on the judge and area, sometimes even faster, and for a warrant for cell phones, usually in the case of an assault like this, yeah, the police would actually act pretty quickly on it and get a warrant for it to a judge, and they can be enacted anywhere from a day to a week. So hey, OP's lucky to be in a state where things can actually move that quickly and get them the safety and help they need. There is also the very real possibility that internalized homophobia is to blame for the violence and the outburst here. And Rory was tagging along for it because she doesn't want to be seen as someone who's dating someone who's willing to stalk another guy and, the label that might put on her. So, they want to teach OP a lesson for spreading those rumors. But that's just one possibility out of plenty of extremely dark reasons. In any circumstance, though, the most important part is that OP is safe and that they filed charges. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Throwaway, fuck you, Matt! Posted at r/relationships February 7th, 2015. My best guy friend, 26 male, is getting married, but my, 24 female, abusive ex, 26 male, is in the wedding party. Help? Okay, I'm going to try my best to summarize this without too much detail. I, 24 female, met my best friend Jacob, 26 male, and my ex, Matt, 26 male, my first year of college. The three of us were pretty much inseparable, until things between Matt and me got ugly. The details of our relationship aren't that important to my question, but suffice it to say that we went through 9 months of a typical abusive relationship pattern. Tension, then explosion, then a honeymoon period, repeat. Before I got myself out of that bullshit. Matt was mostly emotionally abusive, but there were incidents of physical abuse right before I left. Much of Matt's abusive behavior was spurred by his severe anxiety disorder, which is partially why it was hard for me to leave. Only Jacob and I really knew how bad his mental health was, and I used to stay up with him until like 3 a.m., helping him through panic attacks. On the day I finally left, well, the day that started my process of leaving, I called Jacob and said, "You have to come here and help Matt. I can't do this anymore." He didn't know Matt was abusive toward me prior to that day, but he's well aware now. Anyway, Matt and I tried having a friendship. I don't know why. But it didn't happen, for obvious reasons. However, Jacob remained close friends with Matt and me separately. Since college, I have gotten married. My husband really likes Jacob. And he was an usher in our wedding. And Jacob got engaged. Great. Except, I quickly realized that I'd be forced to be around Matt for the first time in years, as Matt will be a groomsman. For clarification, I'm not in the wedding party. I might be asked to help in some other way, but not in the wedding party. Matt has attempted to contact me a few times since I started dating my now husband, Aaron, 29 male. Most recently was a text a few days after my wedding, which I ignored. It's mostly been Facebook messages that say, in a lot more words than this, "I'm sorry about everything, can we be friends?" The first time I responded, detailed all the reasons why we couldn't be friends, and asked him not to contact me again. But in the handful of messages after that, my answer was just pretty much, "I told you not to talk to me, go away." And then no response at all. Matt also has found out I was in town a few times when I visited Jacob and some friends. They still live in our college town, and tried to invite himself over to make amends with me. But I've successfully avoided seeing him since I graduated college almost 3 years ago. Since I'm sure this question will come up, I'm not Facebook friends with Matt, but I haven't blocked him. I want to keep tabs on where he is in case he moves, or I move. It hasn't been a problem. Matt's maybe contacted me through there 4 times in the past 3 years. Aaron never met Matt, but he knows all about how he treated me. I went through therapy post-Matt and pre-Aaron, and I'm healed from my abuse now. But I'm worried about seeing Matt in person. I don't think I'll have any major emotional reaction at the wedding since it doesn't bother me much anymore. But I'm nervous that Matt will come up and try to say something to me or Aaron. Aaron isn't the type that would get aggressive with Matt, but he would definitely get in Matt's face and ask him to leave us alone. Aaron is very non-confrontational until he thinks I'm being treated badly. Even still, he's not going to punch the dude in the face. Also, I have no idea on the status of Matt's mental health. Last time I asked Jacob, which was a long time ago, he said he was doing a lot better, but I have no idea what that means. I just don't want to cause any issues or tension on my best friend's big day. Matt isn't dangerous in that he would hurt me or Aaron or anyone else, so this doesn't require a restraining order or something like that. And the situation doesn't require us to not attend the wedding. Mostly, I think it will lead to a very uncomfortable situation, and I'm not sure how to prep my husband or myself for that situation, which will most likely happen. Too long didn't read, best guy friend is getting married, my abusive ex is a groomsman, not sure how to prepare myself and my husband for seeing him and for the inevitable awkwardness/drama that will accompany it. Edit. A lot of people are coming down hard on Jacob for staying friends with Matt, and honestly, I understand. I initially found it shitty and hypocritical, but I've gotten over it, really. I think Jacob was in a tough spot because this was happening to his 2 best friends, and when I left Matt, and Jacob found out about the abuse, I think Jacob felt he had to be there for both of us. I should also note that Jacob knew Matt first, so I'm sure he felt obligated to him. Matt had an anxiety disorder, and I think he needed Jacob there to help him get help. I don't endorse their friendship, but not many people really understand abuse, and since mine was so much emotional abuse and only a small portion physical, that makes it even harder for people to understand. So if it were the other way around, and I were you guys reading this, I would definitely respond the same way and say Jacob is being a bad friend. But he's honestly been one of the best friends I've ever had. And a piece of shit like Matt isn't worth losing a great friend like Jacob. I'll mull over this part a bit and talk to Aaron for his input, but I'd really like insight on how to deal with Matt and the wedding. Relevant comments. Deleted. Could you send Matt a message on Facebook before the wedding? Something like, Matt, since I know we'll both be at Jacob's wedding, I just wanted to remind you that I am not interested in being friends. I have previously explained in detail why this is the case. Please refrain from trying to reconnect or otherwise talking to me or my husband at this event. I know we both care deeply about Jacob, and I would rather avoid causing a scene on his big day. Please respect my decision and do not respond to this message. If nothing else, his response, or hopefully lack thereof, should give you a good idea of what to expect from him at the wedding. Also, you should ask Jacob to talk to Matt. He should remind Matt to leave you alone at the wedding and emphasize that to do otherwise could possibly ruin one of the most important days of his life. Hope he responds, This is the best idea I've read so far. I'll think it over, but I think this is what I'll end up doing. Thanks so much. Update. June 8th, 2015, 4 months later. Hi everyone! I had such great advice on my original thread that I decided to update everyone on what happened at the wedding. I took the advice of writing to Matt prior to the wedding and explicitly stated that he should not approach me. About a month or so before the wedding, I sent him a Facebook message and I didn't pull any punches. I figured this was my one and only chance to let him have it. I told him that I wanted to make it absolutely clear that he abused me, and it wasn't a conclusion I came to on my own, but through the guidance of therapists and other abuse survivors. I said that I was telling him that because not only was it important for him to recognize it, but it was important for me to say it. I then went on to say that because he abused me, I was not, and never would be, interested in having a friendship with him. And I wasn't doing that to be mean or closed-minded, but because I needed it for my own mental health. I told him he was, at one point, very important to me, but he threw that away with his thoughtless treatment of me. So, I wrapped up my message to Matt by saying that I wanted to enjoy Jacob and Andrea's wedding and support one of my best friends getting married, and that if he didn't respect me enough as a woman to honor my request to leave me alone, he could talk to my husband, Aaron, 30 male, about it. So anyway, Matt surprisingly didn't respond to me. Last time I tried to call him out on his abuse, he called me screaming and saying that I was jeopardizing his future career as a teacher. So I was ready for that. And it didn't happen, thankfully. Prior to the wedding, I was pretty nervous. I didn't know what kind of reaction I'd have in seeing him, and I was really concerned he'd approach me or try to talk to my husband. But he actually left me alone. When I saw him for the first time at the wedding, all I felt were the same feelings I had when I saw him around campus after I finally left him. Some mixture of resentment, pity, annoyance, and complete disinterest in him as a person. I was really happy about that because I wasn't sure how I'd react after not seeing him for 3 years. But my mental health held up. I caught him looking at me a few times, but that was the extent of our interaction at the wedding, and I could tell he was the exact same person he was in college, based on his behavior at the wedding. So, my assumptions were correct. It was terribly mean and resentful of me, but I was over the top happy that all of the other groomsmen found him unbearable. They told me so without knowing our history, and he had no one to talk to at the wedding. He talked a few college girls into dancing with him, but I was surrounded by my incredible husband and a big group of friends who were thrilled to see me. So, in the end, I got the better life, and he's still a fuck. To be honest though, it was a little rough seeing him. At one point in my life, I really did love him, and as my husband put it, I don't easily burn emotional bridges. I always hold on to hope with people, even if they treat me badly. But Matt, and I, stupidly, tried being friends while we were still in college and after we'd separated, and it was a disaster. It was just abusive relationship 2.0 for us, so for my mental health and self-respect, I knew I could never have him in my life in any capacity, and that's still a little hard to accept at times. Anyway, this is hopefully the last time I'll ever have to see him. I expect him to try to contact me again in the future, some years down the road, but he hasn't since my message. I'm hoping that it finally made him confront the reality of what happened between us, since he was still putting at least partial blame on me for our situation. But I'm done making myself feel even the smallest bit responsible for him. So, sorry this was long, but it helps me to talk it out. Thank you again, everyone, for your help. I truly appreciate it. Too long didn't read. Everything went better than expected. Wrote to Matt, told him to leave me alone at the wedding, and he actually left me alone. Final comments. OP explains why Jacob stayed friends with Matt. It is painful to admit, but there are redeeming qualities in Matt. He and Jacob are very similar people, except Matt is selfish, immature, and abusive, and Jacob isn't. In fact, part of why it was hard to leave Matt was that Jacob and I were his only real friends. So I felt a lot of responsibility to help him through his anxiety disorder. But yeah, I absolutely wouldn't stay friends with someone who abused my friend, but I can't really be angry at Jacob. At first, it bothered me, but I know Jacob made it painfully clear to Matt that he was a complete piece of shit for what he did to me and prioritized our friendship over theirs. And in truth, Matt's actions damaged their relationship, which hasn't ever been fully fixed. Matt wasn't the best man, and before everything that happened with us, he absolutely would have been. He also didn't hang out with Matt as much through the rest of college. But honestly, having Jacob there for Matt made it a lot easier for me to leave. So there's that too. And in addition, yeah, I kept telling myself I shouldn't give a shit. I still loved him, but I knew I shouldn't and knew I had to get away from him. So having Jacob around to make sure Matt was taking his medication and not dangerously close to killing himself made me feel better about getting out. It also made me feel better to have a sort of safety net between me and Matt. If Matt was ever like, "Hey, I should call her," Jacob said, "No, you absolutely shouldn't." Like I said, I wouldn't have made the same choice that Jacob did, but I'm not mad at him for anything. And yeah, I sincerely hope that Matt learned a lot from losing pretty much everyone. I think he did, which is why he tried to contact me a few times. In the end, OP is living their best life. They have recovered. They are moving forward in a direction that they can be happy with. Matt is still the same person, and OP also has confirmation from all the groomsmen that Matt sucks. He's just not fun or pleasant to be around. On just another note, it is also nice that in the past decade since 2015, that emotional abuse has become more understood by the general public as being a valid form of abuse. Let's just hope services like CPS can catch up in the meantime. Welcome to the outro where I work and make a video. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget code KEYZ Gamer Subs. Link in description. Like and subscribe and comment and the fucking bell. I'm in a boat right now where I really want to stream and I really want to do stuff, but I'm just tired. And all of that takes effort. And I already have to put effort into this. I'll probably see if I can get a couple of videos done in advance, like an Am I Overreacting, or Am I the Asshole, or a Neighbors from Hell, or who knows, something. Just so that way I can have a little bit of extra time so I can stream and not have to worry about cutting stream short so I can finish a video up, or go to bed so I can wake up in time to make a video for the Vault channel. Anyways, I'm gonna go get into a fight with an alpaca in a KFC parking lot and probably lose, but I'm just gonna do it to feel something, you know? Later!